You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
Gilchrist, voice of the Kingston Frontenacs. You're listening to OHL Overtime, an in-depth interview show highlighting the players, coaches, and broadcasters from around the Ontario Hockey League who make the league so great, as well as in-person coverage of events such as the OHL Playoffs, OHL Championship Series, OHL Combine, and more, exclusively on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Here's your program host, Brendan Caputo.
Welcome into another episode of OHL Overtime and our Postgame Posse Roundtable, collaborating with the OHL and 60 podcast right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Brandon Caputo, Reece, Doumani, and Colin are with you to break down games 3 and 4 of the OHL Championship between the Oshawa Generals and the London Knights, as the Knights take a 3-1 series lead in the series. Thank you to those that are watching on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell to stay up to date with all of our coverage here on the network, as well as those listening the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. So as I mentioned, Colin and Reece Doumani from the OHL and 60 podcast, joining myself here for this episode. Gentlemen, first, before we get going, thanks a lot for doing this. I know, we couldn't do the first two games with the back-to-back on games 3 and 4 on weeknights. So appreciate you guys willing to do this, and look forward to our first one in video.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for having us. Should be a fun time.
Yeah, video might not be our best feature, but we'll try our best.
Radio guys.
Yep, big time.
Hey, it's going to be a preview for what's to come next season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, true. But you know what's going to be hard? Not moving out of this bubble. I move a lot during the show. Reece, you can attest.
Yeah. What do you got? We go here, and then we see you go here sometimes.
I'm like a goalie. I'm a goalie. I try to make the saves. But I have my mic on the stand tonight. Usually I hold it, and I figure that'll keep me in one spot.
Man, to be honest with you, I kind of thought you threw that out. You're not a big stand guy. You like holding it.
Oh, 100%. Maybe halfway through the show, you'll see me holding the stand. Maybe that might be a thing too. I mean, there's a lot in the layer here. There's a lot that goes on during the show, so it'll be fun. But hey, at least for those who listen to the OHL 60 podcast, at least when we do like hand motions when the puck goes here, at least that'll work. At least there's some sort of things we can show. So that'll be cool. Should be fun, but I've always been told I have a face for radio, so here we go. Breaking barriers for me.
We're also going to have post-game comments from Oshawa Generals head coach Brad Malone, as well as defenseman Ben Danford, and then from London side, Dale Hunter and Sam Dickinson, who has been breaking records for the Knights in this playoff series. San Jose Sharks got to be pleased with the way their two prospects have been playing so far. But before we get into the show today, we're going to I got it up on the screen there for you guys following along on video. Today's show topics are going to go over Game 3, Cowan making history with his 90th career OHL playoff point for the London Knights. Game 4, called it Casper time, back-to-back hat-tricks for the San Jose Sharks prospect. Jacob Oster was pulled in the third period. Was Andrew Gibson's knee-on-knee hit on Landon Sim clean? Austin Elliott improving to 47-2 on the season. London 15-1 in the playoffs. As well in Game 3 was Seneca's hit on O'Reilly, something that should have been looked at further. As well, we'll talk about can Oshawa recover going into tomorrow night's game, down 3-1 in the series, giving up 18 goals over the last 3 contests. How do they lock it down and get this thing back to Oshawa for Game 6? And then record-setting playoffs for many London Knights, including Casper Haltonen, Sam Dickinson, Easton Cowan, and then Luca Morelli on the Oshawa Generals side is closing in on a CHL record as well. So with that said, gentlemen, as we get going here, what are your impressions of what we saw in Game 3, first of all, Reece? It was one of those games where you look at and you say, okay, how does Oshawa respond here? And how do they kind of come out in front of their home crowd after, splitting in London? They had to have a lot of confidence coming in, but a 7-5 game. It was 5-1 at one point. They battled back in the third to make it 5-4. But what were your impressions of what we saw in Game 3?
Yeah, the one thing I remember is I texted our group and was like, well, London's Londoning again. Kind of the uh-oh for Oshawa, at that 5-1 point specifically. I think that's actually when I sent the text, maybe at the 4-1 or 5-1 goal. But, for the Knights to score early on in the second and to stay on the gas pedal, I thought that was huge with Halton in second of the game. But then I really liked the response from the Generals. You had to get something. If you gave up the next one and went down 4-0, it was probably – I'm not saying it was going to be, a blowout 6-7-0, but I don't think Oshawa puts 5 up on the board. I just don't think we're into that situation. So for the Generals to find a way to respond after that with Griffin's 16th, I thought that was huge. But it's a situation also where you have to get the next one too, and you have to find some way to make it 3-2. And unfortunately, 7 minutes later, Julian makes it 5-1. Haltonen completes the 4-1. Haltonen completes the hat trick to make it 5-1. And at that point, it's like, okay, well, London's going to play a very conservative third period. They're going to get out of here, hopefully healthy and ready for the next game 24 hours later. Obviously, the Generals with something else in mind, and you love to see that, especially with some of the scores we saw last year in the finals, where it's like, oh crap, we're not seeing a carbon copy of that, are we? But the Generals fought back. They got to within one. Just Nurmi able to get one. Seneca responded, but then the empty netter, Easton Cowan, sort of sealed it. So for most of the game, London was Londoning, but I love the fight back from the Oshawa Generals in the third period.
Colin, Easton Cowan, he tied the record in Game 2 for most playoff points as a London Knight. You went to a lot of those games growing up with some of those great London Knight players that they've had over their franchise's history. For him to break that with his 90th point in Game 3, just how impressed are you with how Cowan's elevated his game and just putting himself up with those greats and being able to pass Rob Schremp for the all-time playoff point record for London Knights?
Yeah, Rob Schremp was a treat to watch. Him, Corey Perry, that was such a fun year to watch. I mean, possibly the best team. Well, they were the best team in CHL history with the amount of talent that year in the Ontario Hockey League in the CHL wide was better than ever. That year, the lockout in 05, when they found when the Knights just went on a tear on to win the Mem Cup, hosting it as well. Easton Cowan just finds ways to get better. Every single season since he's come up, when he came up as a rookie, when he was with Kamoka a little bit that year in the Geo, and then when he got up there with London in the postseason that year that they lost to Kitchener in 22, he was very impressive on the forecheck. The little things like that, you knew the skill was there, but the forecheck, he went out there and he accepted a role. And he played that to a T. And then each year you saw the points increase, and you see him go in the first round of the Toronto Maple Leafs. You see him play with the Leafs. He's almost making the Leafs. And then this season, where he just did everything you're supposed to. There's not one thing Easton Cowan hasn't done this season that he was supposed to do when he got sent back to the London Knights from the Toronto Maple Leafs. If there's one thing that I'm missing that he hasn't evolved in his game, that let me know, because I don't think there's anything missing in Easton Cowan's game. He shows the ability to play physical. He does such a good job opening up space on the ice, Easton Cowan. And I know we had a talk the other night with this about how I kind of think an underrated shot at Casper Halton with the finals MVP. If there's a finals MVP, Casper Halton, I mean, for what he's done, he got 4 hat-tricks in 8 games. Going back to last season, that's incredible. But Easton Cowan just finds a way to get open. And like many London Knight legends, which Easton Cowan is going to be a legend in the London Knights history when it's all said and done, I believe that the best part is they get open. They create space out of nothing. Easton Cowan, it feels like you can have double coverage on him like an NFL wide receiver, and he still gets open. And that's the part where is very impressive with Easton Cowan, that and coming up with loose pucks. He never loses a puck battle. And it's so impressive for him to be a dog on the puck all the time like that and just draw space. Him and Denver Barkey do that better than anybody in the Ontario Hockey League of getting open. And a lot of times you'll see people complain about the odd man rushes London have and like playing high in the O zone and cheating for offense type thing in the D zone. To be honest, if they get the puck on a drop-off, and I know we hate the drop-off, but if Easton Cowan gets the puck on a drop-off, he's still going to create a scoring chance. So it doesn't really matter where he is on the ice. He's dangerous. He's so effective. Everything in his game's gotten better, and it's really no surprise that he is the playoff record holder for the Knights. And that's a tough record to break. You're looking at almost 100 points in the postseason in your career. That's tough to do when a lot of teams, like maybe the team he's drafted by that doesn't win a lot of rounds per playoff appearance,
Love that.
to have almost 100 points is incredible. So Austin Matthews struggles in the postseason. Easton Cowan doesn't. You got one right there in Toronto and Easton Cowan. What a player. And, the kid's a star. It's been such a treat for all of us since we've really started to see him come in as a rookie and see where he is now. I mean, he's a superstar.
Yeah, the point record and everything that he did, there's a reason why he was untouchable for the Leafs, basically their only untouchable prospect at the deadline this year when they were trying to make moves. But Reece, the thing that makes Easton Cowan so special, I think, in my opinion, is how good he is at killing penalties as well. We talk about how good he is as an offensive player, but his ability to create plays shorthanded, to get the puck out, to create breakaways, he's their best penalty killer, too. Him and Jacob Julian, you could say, are 1A, 1B. But for everything that we talk about with Cowan's offensive game, the London Knights have really developed him into that solid 200-foot player, and that's so dangerous, when you think about all the different things that he can do to change a game.
Yeah, well, to be a star, you have to be pretty good at everything, and that's playing on the power play, that's playing on the PK, that's whether you're up 5-on-3, whether you're down 5-on-3, you have to be good 5-on-5. You have to be good in the offensive zone, neutral zone, your defensive zone, and he's good at all of those. We talk about in baseball, and Colin, you'll know this well, like the 5-tool player is so rare. And I think for Easton Cowan, you could say he's the equivalent of that in hockey. And it kind of goes to show his resume. 3 straight years he's gone to the OHL Championship Series, albeit he's looking for championship number 2 after falling to Peterborough in 2023. But you have to be able to be good in every situation to be a star. And for Easton Cowan, again, whether he's a Toronto Maple Leaf, whether he's somewhere else, because it doesn't seem like they're really hurting for forwards, especially under the salary cap. But this guy's going to get paid a lot of money one day, and whether it's for his offensive ability, whether it's for the way he plays on the penalty kill in his own zone, or both, it's more than likely going to be both. So I think that's a special player. When you have a guy that's great in every situation, you better keep your eyes on him more times than not, because he has a really good shot to do something pretty cool every single time he has the puck.
So, Colin, as we move ahead here from the Game 3 topics, we talk about Cowan. We also talk about Kasper Halttunen, just an incredible performance. We'll talk about him a little bit more in the Game 4 discussion, because obviously what he did in Game 4 was just as incredible as what he did in Game 3. But quick thoughts on the Beckett-Seneca hit on Sam O'Reilly. I know, Seneca's been a lightning rod this entire playoffs with the whole thing with what happened in the Brantford series and the antics that he kind of got under their skin in that one. But obviously Beckett-Seneca is a fantastic player, went 3rd overall for the Anaheim Ducks, and Oshawa's run through a gauntlet in this playoffs playing Brampton, Brantford, Barrie, probably the hardest route that you could take.
100%.
Is Beckett-Seneca 100%, and 2, what did you think of the hit?
I think Beckett-Seneca is playing on adrenaline. I really do. Remember back to round 1 when he was questionable, when he didn't participate in a lot of round 1, and then round 2, Game 1, he missed, returning Game 3, returning Game 2. I look at Beckett-Seneca, and I think with the goal scoring alone, Reece and I both saw him every game in the Brantford series, and I don't think Beckett-Seneca looks like the same player. With the step, with this physical traits, I think there's a lot of adrenaline. I think in that hit, I think the problem I think that didn't look good. Obviously, it's past tense now, and there's no review. There's nothing that's gonna come out of it. But I thought my argument was, from London's standpoint, is the only part Beckett-Seneca hit was the knee. That's the only point of contact he made on that hit on O'Reilly, was knee on knee, or in the thigh area. Okay, but you led with the knee. You go to the knee area right away. That targeting comes out, and it's a point of emphasis right away in review. Being the OHL finals and what Beckett Seneca's went through, I didn't think it was going to be a review just because of that. Regular season, he probably gets a 4-gamer. Round 1, 2 games. Now it's the finals, nothing. But I think Beckett Seneca, I think he's still recovering from his injury in the first round. I think when it's all said and done, and you never know, Oshawa, I think that they're a really good team, but this playoff run, it's a grind. And I think for Beckett Seneca, it definitely helped them having the series that they did against Barrie, and all that happened in there. I mean, you have 4 games and you save your time, but you look at Beckett Seneca, man, I don't know, like, the first jump, like that first step looks totally different. If you watch him play in games 4 and 5 against Brantford, and then watch him play the other night on game 4 in Oshawa, look at the difference. Like, it shows. I know everyone plays through injuries, and I just have a feeling that when it's all said and done, whenever Oshawa's season ends, good or bad, we're going to find something out about Beckett Seneca, what he's played through, and everyone's going to give him the respect he deserves for it, because, man, it's a grind to play in the postseason. And, hey, I give him all the credit in the world. Go back to last season when in the National Hockey League, you have guys with headaches and stuff that don't play and you don't even know why, and it's a serious thing. Like, we don't know what Beckett Seneca is going through, but when you watch him play, man, I don't think that jumps there. And maybe it's just my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I watch the games and I'm thinking, I look back at his playoff run, and I don't know. Like, he had some life. When we saw him come back into the lineup in Brantford, Reece, he had a lot of life. Yeah. Like, he was always at the net, always going to the net, like, hard on David Egeroff, Ryerson Leanders. He was hard on the goaltenders. Yeah. I watch the game. I watch him now, and I see a lot of perimeter in all of his hits. And you know what it's like when you try to hit somebody on with adrenaline and your body's not there. Sometimes you cheat to make a hit, and that's kind of what I saw. That's kind of what I saw on that play.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, Wardy, where you're just that one step a little bit too late, so you have to adjust, but you don't adjust properly. Probably is the best word.
100%. And maybe you don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Yeah.
Remember a couple seasons ago when Matthew Tkachuk got hurt in the Vegas series in the Cup against trying to hit Jack Eichel. Yeah, and he rocked Eichel, but he got the worst of it to Chuck. Yep. Sometimes laying it like that, and like, who knows what the injury was, but before I believe it was a back. But he was limping also. Yeah. We got worried about that.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. You want to play 100%. You want to play hard. You want to play physical, but depending on what you're playing through, your body might just say, I wouldn't do that if I were you, or else it's going to be a little bit of a recovery once everything's said and done. So, yeah, it's hard. I didn't play nearly close to that level of hockey that these guys are playing right now. So I to say that I understand what they're dealing with, I've got no freaking idea. Played a high level of ball, obviously, but nowhere near the OHL level in the sport of hockey. But in terms of the hit, upon a little bit of a slow-mo, it kind of looked like he got the side of his leg. I can understand it from both sides. We got another awesome Dale Hunter reaction out of it, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I think we should have a chat at the end of the podcast. Which one was better, that one or the one in
Twitter poll
against Peterborough? That's a great Twitter poll. But I think you're right, Colin. I think if it's not the OHL Championship Series, I'm not saying it would have been a 5-minute major on the ice in a game misconduct. Yeah, we're probably seeing a review or a game or two, but it is the OHL Championship Series. As bad as a hit could be, we do want to see the best players on the ice. And that's 100%. One thing we were kind of disappointed about with Beckett Seneca in round 2 against the Bulldogs. We didn't see him in the lineup for game 1. We're like, oh, dang, that sucks. You want to see those guys on the ice, and then he was able to come back and just lit it up. But yeah, I definitely see something a little bit slower in Beckett Seneca than I did in round 2. And again, you're quite a few games later. It's understandable. You might start to slow down a bit, but I didn't like the hit, but I didn't think it was egregious either.
They reviewed it for a 5. It got reduced to a 2. Obviously, Dale Hunter saw it differently. Said they got him in the thigh instead of the knee was what the explanation that he got from the referees. Didn't elaborate any more on that with Ryan Payette, the London Free Press, knowing that, if everything you're saying is under a microscope right now, so he kept that to himself. But as you mentioned, for in the NHL as well, playoff games are valued way differently than if you were to miss regular season games. So that he didn't.
Yeah,
he didn't
Nick
end up
Cronwall.
getting. He didn't end up getting suspended. Yeah, I know, Nick Cronwall.
Man, against Tampa Bay, what a horrible suspension. That was dumb.
And
hurt.
And we know Andrew Gibson got 2 games against Nick Lardis, and whether that would have been maybe a 5 or 10 game suspension in the regular season. Who knows? But again, things are just weighed differently. Seneca still has 31 points in the 17 playoff games, but again, his explosiveness, as Colin mentioned, just doesn't seem to be there in this finals that we usually see from him. And it's something that we've definitely been monitoring as the series has gone on through the first 4 games. A little bit further here into Game 4 now. Obviously, the Baby Sharks in Casper Halton and Sam Dickinson are the 2 that have been really standing out and
you
really
loved
came
that
to.
one, didn't you?
I did love.
You loved saying that one.
The Baby Sharks.
Oh yeah, you had that swagger going there.
Oh, yeah.
Is that their goal song?
No, it's not.
Oh,
it's Get Ready
imagine.
for This. But anyways, so yes, as a guy that does support the San Jose Sharks, I do thoroughly enjoy seeing Sam Dickinson and Casper Haltonen play well in this playoff series. Dickinson with 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists, breaks a record for playoff points for London Knights defensemen. And then Casper Haltonen, guys, I believe Reece already mentioned it, 4 hat tricks in 8 OHL Championship games is incredible to think about. Back-to-back hat tricks. He's got 15 goals in those 8 championship games. Just a big-time player, a big-time goal scorer. Colin, I know you and I bantered back and forth last night about if it was going to be Cowan or Haltonen for the MVP if London does close it out tomorrow. But, can't really argue with what Casper Haltonen's been doing in this playoffs. He's been incredible.
Yeah, no, Casper Haltonen's been incredible, and I think a lot of his goals have been in the home plate area. I know he's a catch and release guy at time on the power play in specific moments, but especially in Game 4, you look where he scored the goals. He scored the goals in tough areas to score goals, and for that size to get shots off the way he can, I mean, this guy, I think in San Jose, that's kind of where you want to see him score goals at the next level because you got to score goals from more than one spot at the next level unless you're Alex Ovechkin. And I think with Halton, with that size, if he can become a really good power forward, let's not forget Anthony Mantha was a superstar in the queue. Yeah. And we saw there, with the size, nice one, Brandon. I see that. But, I think that with the way Halton plays, when he gets that size and he plays downhill toward the net, it's that extra element that makes him a winner and makes him a postseason player. And that's why it's no surprise to see the success he's had in the finals. He showed it last year, and he can shoot and he can score from multiple different spots, and that's a pure goal scorer. And if he can have that power forward element to his game with his size, man, look out. I remember his debut when we saw him play in person for Reece and I in Brantford a couple years back now. And I remember in the intermission, us talking to Reed Duthie and being like, how's that guy in the league? You look at, and then he comes back.
We had that same conversation this year, yeah.
Yeah. And, when you watch him go downhill toward the net with that size and strength that he has, man, he's dangerous. That's a force. You always say you want big defensemen, right? It's hard when you see a forward who's a tree over big defenseman of the Oshawa Generals, and that's what we saw in Game 4. I mean, he does such a good job getting in position. Him and Sam Dickinson, both your baby Sharks, those 2 guys, Sam Dickinson.
I thought you were going to pull out the clap, too.
Baby Shark. Oh, yeah, I can do that now. But no, I think that I think Sam Dickinson, too, and I know, Brandon, we had that banter, and I believe it will be Easton Cowan, too. But I want to see Casper Haltonen get it because of he's honestly Denver Barkey out. Who had to step up? And I think I mentioned it this afternoon to you guys that he had 3 goals, I believe, coming in, and then he has 4 in the series. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know I sent it this afternoon. If one of you guys have it on there, but he, you look at his point total in the finals. I mean, he's taken to a different level since Denver Barkey's went down. You look what Casper Haltonen's done, right? And you look at the success he's had. the guy's been incredible. I think he has 7, right? Finals?
6 in rounds 1 through 3 and 7 in the finals.
That's right.
Yeah.
In 4 games.
Yeah. That's why I think you got to consider it.
Albeit he played the minimum through the first 3 rounds, but still, it's unbelievable. We're watching a pro at the junior level right now, and I mean, in this series, we're watching a lot of pros right now play at the junior level, but he's kind of put his name ahead of a bunch of the other guys who are headed to the NHL within the next year or two.
Reece, oh, sorry. I was just going to mention to Reece here about, to me, it's like him and Ilya Protas are from Windsor. They're men against boys in this league.
Yeah,
and the way that they're able to bring the puck to the net, nobody can move them. Like, it's just, they're such dynamic players. You want to check their passports sometimes and make sure that they're still of age to play in this league. But what Haltonen's doing, Reece, and again, I didn't put it out on Twitter, but I was thinking it myself and then saw it afterward, people kind of saying the same thing I have. He reminds me of like a Mikko Rantanen at this level because the way he's able to get open, the timely goals, the big body, you can't knock him off the puck. You don't maybe notice him, and then all of a sudden he just finds himself open, scores big time goals in big time games, and you can kind of see Cowan as the McKinnon type there, where he draws all the attention, the puck carrier coming into the zone. But Haltonen is just as valuable with the way he's putting in goals right now. And we talked to him after Game 3 post game, and he just some games they're going in and some games they're not, but he's definitely feels confident right now, and he's shooting the puck at a tremendous pace, and his shooting percentage is just out of this world right now.
Yeah, I'd feel pretty confident the way Haltonen's playing right now. And the Protus comp, I love that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to see London Windsor in the Western Conference Finals. I thought that would have been an unbelievable series. But for this one, you talk about a guy that, and again, we mentioned Easton Cowan can do everything. It seems like Kasper Haltonen can just follow suit, and with Easton Cowan being a Leafs pick, and Oshawa being in the GTA, you're obviously going to get guys, it's the Leafs. We must, they kind of get special treatment, I guess the best way to put it is, whereas a San Jose Sharks prospect does not. But at the same time, I think that works to Haltonen's game. He doesn't really seem like a loud player. He doesn't seem like someone that's going to go out of his way to be like, hey, look at me. I'm shiny, I'm awesome, I'm new, whatever the case might be. He just goes and scores, and goes about it quietly. He doesn't seem like he gets over amped at all, and just goes about his business. And I think for the London Knights, as much as you look at all the drafted players and you're like, okay, that guy's a star, that guy's a star, that guy's a star. Kasper Haltonen's a star, but he's not loud. And I think there's a huge difference between stars who aren't loud and stars who are. And I think when it's all said and done, Haltonen, he should be a San Jose Shark next year.
At least with the Barracuda, because he played 6 games.
Yeah, no kidding. San Jose is not really that good. Haltonen probably should be there. Hey, they're your second team. It's okay, Brandon.
That's okay.
Not Who's like your first one's any better.
No, we're not going to talk about that.
Haltonen, I just love the way he goes about his business. Again, I'm a big fan of guys who just go out and play and don't really make it about themselves, and they just want to win for the betterment of the team. And again, back-to-back hat tricks is amazing. It's what wins somebody a playoffs MVP. And again, Easton Cowan, Kasper Haltonen, it's going to be a toss-up when it's all said and done. But obviously, if London goes on to win this series, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. But he's a special player, and as fortunate as we are to see him play for 2 years in a league that he probably shouldn't be playing in, I think we have to take a step back and say, thank God we got to appreciate Kasper Haltonen for a couple of seasons.
Colin, as we move forward from Game 4, Austin Elliott improves to 47-2 on the season. London 15-1 in the playoffs. What more can you say about the guy that came over from the Kamloops Blazers, put on waivers, claimed by Barrie, traded to London for a mid-round pick in his overage season, which London's done 2 years in a row with Michael Simpson, and now Austin Elliott leading them to what looks like back-to-back OHL championships as they can close this out. But I feel like nobody... Or it isn't talked about enough that Austin Elliott's only lost 2 games this entire season.
I'll bet anything right now, and we have goalies not counting as OA. He's not leaving Saskatoon. I'll bet you that one right now. That's a regret. He doesn't make his way over to the OHL if not once they goes to goalies not counting as OAs. Wow. When Austin Elliott when and / if the slight times he doesn't have his game, not too often he's not on his game. And when he falters a little bit, it's only a little bit. It's not a long time. It's honestly possibly only just a period. It's not even a full game. That's how good he's been this year. I don't know. When's the last time we came into a season, and obviously with the way the waivers worked, we didn't pick who he was at the time. But coming in, who would have thought a person from out west, he had success with Saskatoon. He did.
Yep.
But who would have thought with Oster, Parsons, with the amount of goaltenders, Carter George, and hey, it was going to be stone cold Austin Elliott right there in the mix. And I think that guy, and it's funny when you hear Dale Hunter talk about Austin Elliott, he kind of lights up. And it's been interesting hearing his post games because, you know, the questions about the game and about officials, they're one-word answers. But when you ask him about Austin Elliott, it always comes back to he works his butt off. And I think that's such a testament to their goaltending tandem. I want to ask Austin Elliott how much Alexei Medvedev in his draft year, who I believe should be the top goaltender taken out of the OHL this year. I know Jack Ivankovic's a star, but Alexei Medvedev fits the mold of who you want in a Connor Hellebuck, you know, an Ottinger. He's got that build where I think down the road when we see Medvedev, I think he's going to be a really good goalie in the NHL level. And that's kind of what drives each other. And I think it would be so cool to ask Elliott about how much Medvedev has helped him, because you always hear Dale Hunter say about he's the last one off at practice. He works his tail off. And the one thing is with the London Knights, and they have done this for a long time, going back to Michael Hauser coming in taking the number one job, Tyler Parsons taking the number one job, Brett Brochu, who was in Junior C, comes in and takes over Jordan Coy, where it felt like it was a lock for him to be the guy. And no, Brett Brochu is going to be the guy. The London Knights ride hot hands, and you got to earn it. And I think that's the goaltending. It can be a hard spot to play goalie in London because let's be honest, there's been so many good goaltenders in the London Knights organization where there's like 4 to 5 organizations in the Ontario Hockey League where if your goalie isn't great, you hear about it because it's so magnified. And I just think that Austin Elliott has been incredible all season. He doesn't falter more than a period. He has a bad game. You don't really notice it that much because he still makes 2 to 3 grade A saves in that occasion. I think that with what he's done and the work ethic he puts in, I think he deserves a contract. I know he's committed to school, but I think he deserves a contract out of anybody. Maybe Jackson Parsons, Jacob Oster are in that mix too, but those 3 guys, goaltenders, deserve to play pro hockey next season. And that's why I believe that Austin Elliott, everything he's done, I mean, what a treat to watch, guys. Like, this is a bonus for us to be able to see Austin Elliott. We almost never got to witness this. And to be honest, if it happens, who knows if it happens a month later, if he's even in the OHL with this new agreement stuff going on with the NCAA. So it's been great to watch Austin Elliott, and the guy's just so positionally sound. He's so technical. He's never out of position. He's always square to the shooters. The one goal I was criticizing about the Gibson goal, I think it was game 1, literally game 1. So, be it. But that's the only one I noticed that he wasn't square to the shooter on a shot. And it was the only time he got beat. He's been that good, and he's been not that good just this round. He's been that good all year long. And congratulations to Austin with everything he's going to get. But hey, let's be honest. The next game's the hardest, and it's not over yet, and it's going to be a very tough one because he's got to be able to make 6 or 7 grade A saves in an elimination game against Oshawa. Because I'm telling you, I know we think Seneca with the questions, Richie and Seneca, it's their time to shine. And we talked about this after game 1, boys, where the Oshawa Generals stars were great. They might have been better than London Knights stars. They saw Oshawa saw what happened in their arena with the London Knights stars. Don't be surprised to see Callum Ritchie and Beckett Seneca really come out flying to the best of their capabilities and put on a show in London.
We'll get into that in our next topic. Reece, technically, if you count the 3 games that he played for Saskatoon, I think I said Kamloops, made a mistake on that one. He's actually 50-2 if you count the 3 wins that he has. It's just been incredible to see, and Colin's really already outlined it. What more can you say about Austin Elliott and what he's been able to do for the London Knights? But I want to kind of move on here with the next part of it. Jacob Oster was pulled in this game in the third period, and we'll hear from Brad Malone, the head coach of the Oshawa Generals, a little bit later about why he made that decision. But he did the same thing in the last game where he took him out in the final minute just to make sure that London's guys weren't running around or trying to get in his crease. But for the 2023 goaltender of the year and how good he's been for them in the playoffs, again, they've given up 18 goals in the last 3 games. And, what have you seen from Jacob Oster? I know he's kept them in it at certain points in the series, like when they got outshot 15-1 in the first period at one point in the last game. But what are your thoughts on Jacob Oster right now?
Yeah, I think with Jacob Oster, he's kind of into a lull stretch right now, and what I mean by that is I wouldn't say he was a stud in round 1 against Brampton. Not even close in games 1 and 2 against Brantford. But as soon as that series shifted back to Oshawa, he went on a run where he played really, really well. Now, not everyone is Austin Elliott that can only lose 2 games in one season. But I think Jacob Oster was on a good stretch, and unfortunately, we may be seeing him come down from that at this point. And again, whether that's fatigue, who knows? But I think with Jacob Oster, and Colin, you can attest to this too, we didn't really think his rebound control has been that good throughout the entire playoffs. Yeah, there's that. But I thought he was way better at puck handling and rebound control last season than we had seen, or last playoffs, I should say, than what we've seen this year. He's still making highlight reel saves when he has to. He still seems to be in position. It's just when these high-powered offenses get those second and third opportunities in the blue paint, and you can't find the puck, or you just kick one out right to the tape of a stick, and that rebound shot beats you. It's tough to win hockey games, and in this one, 5-goal period isn't ideal. And this probably isn't just on Jacob Oster. I'm sure this was more of a, hey, figure it the bleep out and let's help our goalies out. So I think it's kind of the same as what we saw last year in Game 1, where Jacob Oster didn't finish, came back in, of course, to start Game 2. He'll start Game 5. I have no question about that. But I think unfortunately the last 3 games we're kind of seeing that stretch from the first 2 games in Brantford to a couple of the games in the Brampton series.
Colin, last thing about Game 4. Seems like I'm asking you about the hits here, but Gibson's knee on Landon Sim. We know Landon Sim, the way he plays the game, that antagonistic type player, gets under your skin, plays it so well, is always yapping at the other team. And again, he's been questioned for if he has been embellishing at certain points during his OHL career. Goes down on that scary play from Andrew Gibson, and that's the second time in this playoffs that he's received a penalty for kneeing somebody along the boards that you're well aware of. So what were your thoughts on the Gibson hit on Landon Sim? And Dale Hunter said there was no update on his status, but what were your thoughts on that and how that might affect going into Game 5?
You might see a review there. Saw a little bit of a clip. I don't think anything will come out of it. If Oshawa wins, if it's a 2-2 series, you possibly see a game. There's buybacks. There's a lot of things that goes on like behind the scenes too. If I'm being honest, I think it's similar. Obviously, I think this one was a little bit worse than the Seneca one, but I don't think there's going to be a suspension out of it. I think the call on the ice was a call on the ice, and I think you got to stand with it and move on. The problem is, I think there's going to be a little bit of a situation from the league where you have to start saying, okay, guys, it's not like we're going to take 2 to the box here in the game where you're just going to start taking 1. Next, you got to start letting people know, okay, that's the line. It's done. If there's another question, well, we're giving a game. That'll put an end to it. I think to set a standard, set a precedence, but it's hard, right? Because Andrew Gibson's done. If Oshawa doesn't win, what happens, right? You don't want to end with a suspension. Obviously, you got to play the game the right way, and things got to happen. He's already been in that situation once this postseason. Maybe if there's another angle on the video, on the hit, it might look worse. From the cameras on TSN, it doesn't really – it's hard to get a read on TV. Sometimes you don't even see the replay till after the period. So, and in this case, right, like it's hard to see a real good replay on it. So we'll see.
In Oshawa.
Yeah, video review. Ugh.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the league looks at it. It'd be nice. I hope we get the ruling. And it was funny. Shout out to Jordan Henry from the Ontario Hockey League. I was talking to him earlier about 2 weeks ago. I was chatting with him about what's one thing you'd like to see, and I said video review, like examples, like how Brendan Shanahan used to do with the hockey ops, where I want to know what happens. Like section 28.2. Why was this a suspension to why it wasn't? And walk us through the play of why you think. Because I think that's one thing the fans want to know. They want to see clear. They want to see it more clear. Because you really don't. Yeah. And I think coaches want to see that. I think that's kind of the thing you're looking at. But I don't think there's going to be a suspension. With the way the series is, it's 3-1. I don't know if it's warranted enough to punish more than a game, if it's even a game for Andrew Gibson. Like I said, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm sure on Wednesday, as we talk right now, there was a lot of video being sent to the league from both teams on check this hit, check that hit. We're in a playoff series right now of two teams that really don't like each other. And that's the beauty of playoff hockey. Obviously, you don't want anybody to get hurt, and obviously we hope like nobody that Landon Sims okay, but we'll see what happens. From the league standpoint, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think if there's a game, it shouldn't be more than one game if there's even a game.
Yeah, I don't see it, Reece. I don't know if you have any quick comments to that.
No, I think, again, it's a situation where in the OHL Championship Series, this could be Andrew Gibson's last game coming up in Game 5. I mean, it's hard to say. If maybe there was a clearer update on the injury, maybe that might might sway the league one way.
Good point, Reece.
Again,
if he's out.
Yeah, like if he's out, but Gibson plays, and it's like, oh, okay then. But yeah, I mean, if he gets anything, yeah, I'm with you, Colin. It's a game, nothing more.
Andrew Gibson, the now Nashville Predators prospect, 3 goals, not known for his goal scoring, but has been good for Oshawa in the offensive department in this championship series. But let's get to Oshawa Generals head coach Brad Malone, as well as captain Ben Danford, after Game 4 and their thoughts as they go into a must-win Game 5 situation.
Coverage of Game 4 of the OHL Championship Series. You're live from the Tribute Community Center, joined by Oshawa Generals head coach Brad Malone, along with captain Ben Danford. And coach, not the outcome you came for tonight. Backs against the wall now. Maybe you can just reflect on Game 4 for us.
Yeah, I thought we had a pretty decent first period, and then just kind of made some costly decisions with the puck. Kind of the same mistakes that we made last night that we tried to fix, and again, same result. We kind of got behind the 8 ball a little bit, down 3-0. Get a big goal to make it back 3-1, and then just an unfortunate incident, and back to 4-1, and then I think from there we really kind of lost our push in the second. I thought we had obviously a great start to the third, and then just kind of flat from there. We gotta get back to finding our game. We got to be better in all areas. We need to be more invested and start playing our best hockey.
Ben, the leader in the room, wear the C on your jersey. Down 3-1 going into London, obviously a tall task, but have to think a lot of skill, a lot of experience in there, and a lot of belief still as the team's captain.
Yeah, we definitely still believe in there. We've had ups and downs all year. I think we've dug ourselves a bit of a hole here, but I think we believe in that room. I think every guy in that room is going to put their best foot forward the rest of the series. London's a huge game. It's a pivotal game in London. We win that, come back home. We're confident still.
Right.
Brad, why the goalie change, and did Isaac show you enough that maybe you'd consider him for Thursday?
You know what? He's got a bright future, but Jacob will be in net on Thursday. I didn't have the same sense that we were eager in between periods as I did last night. So just kind of a gut feeling on that one.
Okay, Ben, you've won in London before. What mindset do you guys have to take into third?
Yeah, I think like Brad just said, we have to get back to, playing our game, being physical. It's a huge part of our game. We have a big team that can, when our physicality comes out, it helps all aspects of our game. So I think just getting back to that, it's a huge game, obviously. So we'll be ready.
Coach, you said at the end of yesterday that you come out a better team in that first period, 0-0, come out in the second, and then things started to unravel. What did you see in that middle period where London was able to get 5? Do you think it was the self-inflicted wounds again like last night that you mentioned?
I just it kind of a snap of a finger, really. It was 4-on-4. They get a fortunate bounce off of a skate, turns into a breakaway. And then from there, I think we just kind of deflated a little bit. They're a really good team on the other side. We are making mistakes, but at the end of the day, they're doing a lot of good things as well. Their forecheck has been relentless. Their D-zone coverage, it's really hard to penetrate the inside. To beat them, it's going to take a tough full 60. We got to get back to playing the hard way and the right way, and we got to do it more consistently, and we need everybody.
Then from the defensive standpoint, from the D-core and also the team defense, Colin and Halton are really taking over in this series. What do you guys kind of have to do for the next 3 games if you want to get this thing to Game 7 to really limit those guys' opportunities, because obviously they're having a great series?
They're getting on the score sheet a lot. They're good players. I think we just have to keep them right outside and be a lot harder on them, be a lot more physical. I think they're going a bit untouched at times when we can finish them, and that's on us as a D-core. We need to be better. So.
Brad, you've been in this situation many times as a player, now as a coach. When your backs are against the wall like this and you're in a cup where you need to win one and then get on a train to win a couple more, what can you take from your experience as a player and really give those guys in the room to show that this thing's not over yet?
Yeah, I think for me it starts during the regular season, just building a tight-knit group, building a camaraderie. You got to win with the guys you care about. You got to pull together in a situation like this. Everyone's got the doubt on us. Before the series even started, we were the underdogs. It's not a lot of belief outside of our room about us coming back and finishing this. For me, it has to start with us, and it's only going to be us. It's been that way all year. Starts with this guy here, the leadership. We got a tight group. We know what we have to do. The task is what it is, but it's one game at a time, and you break it down even smaller. It's every 10 minutes. We just got to pull together and be one unit here.
There were Oshawa Generals head coach Brad Malone as well as captain Ben Danford on the post game. Colin, your take on what was said there, and knowing that tall task trying to shut down those top 2 players from London, but what are your initial reactions to that?
Guys are giving everything they have. It's not like for the lack of effort. Oshawa is literally throwing everything they got. London plays a little high in Game 3, and you see Oshawa have the comeback like the way they have. Honestly, it's been little moments of games. It's been a 10-minute sway in the second period where it's a 3 to 4 goals that London scores, and they come at you in waves. And Oshawa's had a hard time eliminating that wave. And quite frankly, right now, both teams have had waves in games. Both teams, Game 3, what were the shots? 10-0 Oshawa to start. And maybe Oshawa has played 20 minutes out of 60 in 40 to 20 in favor for London in minutes out of a 60-minute period where London's been better for 40 minutes. Oshawa's been better for 20 in a full 60. It's been close. Oshawa just needs some bounces. How do you get bounces? You just got to play the right way. I think when it all comes down to it is you're going to need 3 nights. You're going to need 3 nights to go here, 3 games, and you're going to need multi-goal efforts from Callum Ritchie and Beckett Seneca. That's 4 goals. That's 4 goals from your guys. You need your stars to take over a game. And realistically, what's 2 goals each when you see what Easton Cowan's doing, when you see what Casper Halton is doing, Sam Dickinson on the point, Luca Morelli, when you see Oshawa's firepower, they have the firepower. Maybe the shots aren't as good. They're not having the shot bounces as they had throughout the playoffs. We saw in the first round where they shoot from everywhere. Round 2, they shot from everywhere. Round 3, they shot from everywhere. Those shots aren't there right now. When you look at what London gives up defensively, there's not a lot of room. And they're going to need one of those nights. If I were to tell you listeners this right now, and you guys let me know if I'm right or wrong here, if Beckett Seneca, Callum Ritchie can have a 2-goal effort in Game 5, and Colby Barlow can get a goal, do they win that game?
I don't know. I think it's still tough.
And that's a heck of an effort, though. But you really give yourself a chance. They're gonna need a legendary night, and I think they got it. They have it in them, but you're gonna need 3 of them, and let's see what happens.
Reece, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like when they started talking about the London Knights top players and I guess stars, you could say, that they're getting by a little bit too easy, and maybe they could start finishing some checks. Now I know that wasn't word for word that was said, but we talk about it on a weekly basis, Colin, and I know we've had this conversation too, Brandon, at the rink. Stars hate to be touched. Not hit, not anything like touched. They love to make plays. They love to be fancy. Easton Cowan doing his best Kenny Wu impression, which was awesome to see. I saw that Mighty Ducks reference on social media. I thought that was awesome. But they just don't. They don't like to be hit. And I think for the Generals, you got to make their lives a little bit more uncomfortable. And I love that they touched on that in the post-game presser. They got to make it difficult, and they got to find a way to get under their skin a little bit more. Now, that's not to say to start hacking guys in the back of the leg and taking stupid penalties, but just make their lives hell and find a way to get under their skin without taking a penalty, still playing clean hockey. And again, Easton Cowan, Kasper Halttunen, Sam Dickinson, they're all mentally tough. They'll find a way to try and avoid all of that stuff. But if you're the Generals, you have to be a little bit better at the mental game than London is, and to get under their skins of those stars, that'll be huge if they want to climb back into this.
Let's get to London's post-game thoughts, and then we'll wrap up with our final topic about what Oshawa needs to do going into Game 5 tomorrow. So here's head coach Dale Hunter, as well as defenseman Sam Dickinson from the London Knights. Hear what they had to say following Game 4's win.
Good evening, welcome to post-game coverage of Game 4 of the OHL Championship Series. The London Knights 6-2 winners to take a 3-1 series lead here in Oshawa at the Tribute Community Center. A warm welcome to those tuning in across the OHL social media channels tonight as you follow along post-game. Joined tonight by London Knights head coach Dale Hunter, along with defenseman Sam Dickinson. Coach, in Game 3, you guys were, I think, outshot 8-0 early on, but tonight I think it was 15-1 the shots for the Knights at one point in the early going. Happy with the start, I have to think.
Yeah, we had a pretty good start. We had a couple power plays early there that got some shots, and the kids came out ready to play.
Sam, 2 goals and 2 assists for yourself, along with the new Knights franchise record for postseason points by a defenseman. Have to be happy with that and just the overall team effort tonight.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the win tonight. We kind of came out. I think we played about as close to a perfect 60 as we could, and happy to get the win.
Brian, you can go ahead.
Dale, can you give us an update on Landon Sim and how, what did you feel? It kind of looked like the largest hit in round 2 with Gibson.
Well, it was knee on knee. The guy took his knee, so it was like, what happened to us in the Kitchener series with the Woolley hit. Same thing, and got suspended 1 game for it. So we'll have to wait and see. It's the league's decision.
Okay, what about Bandit?
We don't know yet. He didn't come back.
Sam, you and Kasper Halttunen together with the Sharks, I'm sure they're excited by this. What can you say about his goal scoring and huge?
Yeah, he's got the best shot in the OHL. He's probably the best goal scorer in the OHL for 2 years now. You see the way he scores goals. It's all over the ice. It's not just with his shot, but he makes a move, and he just knows how to put the puck in the net. It's pretty special to see in practice, and it's a lot easier just giving the puck to him and knowing that he's almost always gonna have a good chance to put it in the net.
Sam, talk about that second period, scoring 5 goals after a scoreless first there, even though you guys kind of dominated play in the first as well. What was working for you guys in that period and being able to carry some momentum and really put them away there?
Yeah, I think through the playoffs we talked a lot about an important second period. I think to start the playoffs it was a weak point of ours, and over the last 2 games we've been hot in the second period. So it's just kind of been keep the momentum going. Obviously today we built a lot of momentum in the first period and just kind of build through that into the second period, and the dominoes fell for us today.
It was 5-1 just like last game, and they came out and got a quick one there in the opening period, but you guys settled it down. What did you maybe learn from the last game where they were able to score 4 in the third and take it into this game and be able to close it out?
Yeah, the kids played well right after that. We settled down and we played a solid game.
Sam, most of the hardware that the team has won over the last 3 years has been on the road. How excited are you to go home with a chance to close it?
Yeah, I'll be honest. We've kind of talked a little bit about that and how all 5 of our trophies have come on the road. So it's definitely really cool for the opportunity to win on home ice, and I think that'll just kind of get us even more fired up for Thursday.
One more quickly for Dale. Obviously, Denver's not playing in the series, but he's a presence in the room and with you guys on the road and everything. What can you tell us about Denver Barkley's leadership off the ice in this series with him not being able to play?
No, he's been behind the guys the whole time. He's great. That's why he's our captain. He's a team guy, and he wants roots for us and right behind us all the time.
There were head coach Dale Hunter and defenseman Sam Dickinson. Reece, some interesting takeaways from that. He mentioned the Woolley hit being a 1-game suspension in the Kitchener series. Whether he's going to get that or not for that sim hit, we'll have to wait and see. But Sam Dickinson mentioned about them wanting to win a trophy on home ice, which they've luckily been able to do the last 2 years, but all on the road. And then lastly, talking about Casper Halton, and I know him saying he's the best goal scorer in the OHL. I think there's a couple of guys that have something to say about that, especially a guy that scored 72 this year with Murrayford.
Big time. Yeah. Nick Lardis, enter the chat, please. No doubt he's great. We mentioned earlier in the show how much we love watching him shoot the puck and play the game. Nick Lardis is a little bit of a better shooter and goal scorer, but I digress. I think for the London Knights, if he can close it out at home, that'd be pretty cool. Like you said, it's one thing to win, but it's another thing to win at home in front of 9,000, something that no other OHL team can say that they've done. Colin Ward's got a big smirk on his face. I know he's waiting to explode about something.
I know the exact place where I was in time the last time they've won at home.
That would have been 13, right?
13. Bo Horvat, 0.10 of a second left. It's a goal. Mike Stubbs. The London Knights, your OHL champ. It was incredible. Yeah.
Because
what a night.
2016 was at Meridian Center.
Thanks
and then,
for that.
Sorry.
Yep.
Oops.
I remember that.
Obviously last year with Oshawa, or in Oshawa, but it's something different. I got to win a league championship at home playing ball, and that's a really cool feeling when you can do it in front of the home crowd. So for the Knights, as much as you'd have a second opportunity about closing it out in Game 6, you'd have a third opportunity to do it in Game 7. You would love the rest before you travel to Rimouski, and if this thing goes past Game 5, watch out, because the Generals might have something to say heading back home for a Game 7. So it sounds like they're completely focused on getting it done, and they should be, because we've seen this Generals team throughout the playoffs absolutely obliterate teams when those opponents probably shouldn't have been playing that way. But anyways, the Knights, they got to take care of business at home. They know it's just one step at a time, just like the Generals, and to do it at home, I think that'd be pretty cool for the Knights to do.
Colin, do you have any quick takeaways from that?
I think they're hungry. When you hear Dickinson talk, man, they're hungry. It's almost as if they're down 3-1. You can tell they're battle tested, and I think that edge, like Reece said, I think that edge that they want to win it at home, I think it feels like they're down 3-1. They really want it bad at home. This group's had everything. But they have 5 championships and then all of it on the road. They want this one at home. They'll want this. there's a lot of every building, in my opinion, in the Ontario Hockey League is great in their own way. But there's a few buildings that stand above and beyond where you'd love to see a championship won in that building by the home team. And I'm telling you, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Growing up, just seeing it in '05, what they went through with the Mem Cup and all that fun that was. The auditorium is incredible in Kitchener, and Windsor's incredible. Oshawa, there's obviously there's the mecca of the Ontario Hockey League. But London with 9,000, almost 10 going out into the streets after, with the new construction that they've done in the Covenant Market, with it is across the road, with the viewing parties that they could have there, and with the construction outside of the arena. Man, there would be no better place to be in London, Ontario, than if they were to win it at home. Like I said, growing up, getting out of school a little bit earlier to go to London to watch a hockey game, like in the playoffs, it's just different. It's a different atmosphere, when you pull up and you go to your favorite restaurants, or I don't know if they still do this, but when you go in early to the Budweiser Gardens at the time, a Canada Life place, and you get the roast beef sandwich, and you're wearing shorts to the game, and I think that London just does it right, and I think that the fans and the community that they have there, it's incredible. And I think Oshawa is really going to travel well too for the game. Don't get me wrong, I think there's going to be a lot of General fans there, but London really wants to get this done at home, and you can hear it in Sam Dickinson's voice. You can really hear it, and usually you can tell he's close because, let's be honest, in the post game so far with Casper Halton and with the two, you really haven't gotten much. But Sam Dickinson, you really can tell that he wants it, and the personality he has too, but you could tell that this group really wants it. And I would love to see Denver Barkey be able out there to get a trophy if they're able to get the hardest victory of the series.
So as we look at the last topic here, guys, before we wrap up, can Oshawa recover? They're down 3-1 in the series. We know how many goals they scored in that Barrie series, but after winning game 1, they've really gone the opposite direction. They've given up 18 goals against them the last 3 games that London's won. So if they want any chance to get back in the series, Reece, we'll start with you. What do they got to do tomorrow night or tonight, if you're listening to this the next day, in London to win Game 5 and then get it back to Oshawa for Game 6 and then hopefully get it back to London again for Game 7, because it's going to be hard to win 3 in a row, but you got to start with 1.
Yeah, win 3 in a row, and then you'd have to win 2 of them at Canada Life Place. This is really the first time in the series that I thought the Generals were in trouble. And it, like you know my thoughts on you're not in trouble till you lose at home. But even London Knights lost first game at home. They've won 3 in a row. And even the Generals, I really like their chances heading into a Game 4 where they had a really strong comeback in period number 3. Let's see if they can carry it over into game number 4. And obviously they couldn't, and they fell 6-2. But this is really the first time that I felt the Generals are in trouble in this series. It's just you're gonna have to, like Danford said, you're gonna have to just shrink it down to 10-minute segments. And honestly, if you get through the first period scoreless, that is a huge win for the Oshawa Generals. I expect Jacob Oster to rebound. Again, it's kind of been a stretch where he hasn't really looked awesome. He's kind of due for a stellar performance, so I expect him to be much better. He's gonna have to be the best player on the ice. And as much as we talked about earlier in the show, Colin, you've mentioned Richie, you've mentioned Seneca. They gotta be really, really good. But I think it starts with Jacob Oster in the blue paint. He's got to be the best player for the Oshawa Generals. 2, possibly 3 goals or less in order for the Oshawa Generals to win this game. So you just got to shrink it down into segments, and playing desperate could work against the Oshawa Generals. So I'm not saying they necessarily have to play desperate. If you get down in the third period, 100% you do. But I think you just take it one segment at a time. Even if you break it down to 5-minute segments and you get through that tide, you get through that up, that's a win for the Generals. You got to take that when it's a do-or-die situation. So no reason to panic for the Generals. Again, backs against the wall, but they have a talented enough hockey team that they can find a way to pull out a win on the road like they did in game number 1. It's not like they haven't done it before. So And I remember Brad Malone talking about it earlier on, saying they were a terrible road team in the regular season. Well, they've showed up on the road in the playoffs. They clinched a series in Brampton. They took command of a series in Brantford. They took the first two in Barrie, and then they took the first one in London. So they're playing really well on the road in these playoffs, and I expect a really, really good effort from the Generals in game number 5.
So, Colin, I'll give you final thoughts here. Game 1, 4-2 Oshawa with the 9 power plays they were able to bait London
That won't
into.
be the case.
That won't be the case again. But then
Well, I
5-2,
hope not.
5-2, 7-5, and 6-2 in favor of London the last 3 games. So, again, the back-to-back was tough there with the 2 games in Oshawa being Monday, Tuesday. But, if Oshawa is able to come out with a win tomorrow, how do they do it?
Have a good start. Gain some confidence. Reece, like you mentioned, 10-minute intervals. Have a good 10 minutes. Shift by shift, you got to work your butt off. I know, and yeah, Jacob Oster, 3 or less, you got a chance. In this series so far, you give up 3 or less, you'll win every game. That's how close it's been. I think with the way Oster's playing, I think there's a little bit of fatigue in there, but what we've saw through since he's moved from Guelph to Oshawa, when the Oshawa Generals need him, he performs.
Yep.
And I think that it could be one of those legacy games for him in game 5. It could be one of those games where it's possibly my last ever junior hockey game. How do I want to go out? And I think that's going to be huge. And their stars got to be stars. The London Knights stars are humming right now. The Oshawa General stars, if you challenge them, but Colby Barlow, Callum Ritchie, Beckett Seneca, those 3 guys, right? Your high picks in the National Hockey League, your future NHLers. Oshawa has the guys too. You got to step up, and that's where I think if you get the big saves, you possibly there's going to be 6 moments in this game where where London has an opportunity to score. You think about it, London could quite easily have 6 grade A chances in a game where they should score. Oster has to stop those. If Oster stops those in those scenarios, in those situations, if Oster gets those saves for the Generals, it's Oshawa's game to lose. On the flip side, London's hungry. London's got an opportunity to put it away. I get the sense that they're down 3-1 the way they're talking. I would love to see the details of their morning skate. I would love to see the details of morning skate. I think Oshawa has to have a good start. If Oshawa gets the first 10 shots on goal like they did in game 3, but if they're up 2-0, Oshawa wins the game. If Oshawa gets the first 10 shots and they're down 2-0, London wins the game. That's the way it's going to go, similar to game 3. I think it'll be a lot like game 3 of the game. I think it could be chaos. It's either going to be really tight or a track meet. And right now we've seen games open up because I believe the Oshawa forward, especially the F1, the center has to be back more, has to be back involved in the back check, has to be more engaged defensively on the Easton Cowans. You can't win games, and it's similar to the Oshawa Generals. You can't win games giving each other, these teams, the odd man rushes, or they will pick you apart. And that's what London does so well in the transition with Easton Cowan to Casper Halton and so on and so forth, with Dickinson jumping up in the rush. But that's where I think the center has to be more involved defensively on the back check. If they're more involved, you're going to create odd man rushes, and we all see how dangerous Oshawa's been in the odd man rush category through the postseason on their side when they get odd man rushes. So that's what I think it's going to come down to. Quality defensive play, hard start, and we'll see what happens.
Easton Cowan leading the OHL playoffs, 37 points in the 16 games, and they're going to have to keep the London Knights to under 5 goals, because that seems like, if you can do that, you'll have a better chance of winning. Easier said than done with how great this London team's playing. Programming alert, regardless if Oshawa continues on with the series to Game 6 or if London wins tomorrow night, we will have a post-game Friday morning. We will be recording that the next day, so stay tuned for that. But Reece and Colin, Reece, thanks a lot for joining us. It's been a fun playoff so far, and recapping both these games has been fun. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. But firstly to you, go Tigers, and thanks for jumping on tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. And they just gave up the lead, which sucks. But really looking forward to Thursday night and seeing if London can close it out or if Oshawa can get back to the Tribute Community Center.
we'll have a post-game article as well with Joel Vanderlaan, who wasn't able to join us tonight. Colin, gonna be doing that post-game with you on Friday morning. We'll see if London's able to close it out at home, or if Oshawa lives another day. But always appreciate the analysis.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, and should be a good time. I can't wait to see the game. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I think the passion from the fan base is in. I think it's almost as if it's so cool when you see more than just the game and how much it means to the fans. And I think that's the most exciting part from the outside perspective as a neutral covering the series. I think it's kind of cool to see the fan engagement amongst each other has been incredible. Two great fan bases. I can't wait to see what happens. Other than when Oshawa gave it to me in round 2, personally, I didn't like that. So I make sure I'm gonna say that they know who they are. So yeah, can't wait to see their outcomes. It's gonna be great.
That's going to wrap up another OHL post-game posse right here on OHL Overtime and our collaboration with the OHL 60 podcast right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Thank you, everybody that tuned in live on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel, and those who listen the next day in your favorite on-demand audio platform. So for Reece, Doumani, Colin Ward, and Joel Vanderlaan, who wasn't able to join us tonight, my name is Brandon Caputo. Enjoy Game 5, and we'll talk to you again right after that. You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.